Hi, I'm Jen from That Mama Book Nook, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing my October TBR, or what I fondly like to refer to it as my October Delulu. If you've watched any of my TBR videos, you know I like to put way too many books on my TBR for each month, including way too many that I could possibly even read. So it's always an adventure to see what I actually get to. I may try to revamp my system of how I choose my books each month for next year, but considering that there's only these last 3 months left in 2025, which is wild, I'm just going to let the chaos continue and figure it out for next year. So as always, I will share what books I'm reading, what the book is about, where I am getting the book from, and if they fill any of my challenge prompts and why I'm reading the book. First up is Hannah Bonham Young's newest book, People Watching. I am reading this with a local book club. I'm actually also reading it for a book club for November too, so great that I'll be getting a head start on it. My husband actually gifted me this book as well as a couple of other ones, so I have a physical copy of it. This will fulfill a 25 in 25 prompt of the color of the year. Might be a tiny bit of a stretch, but that color is definitely in the cover, whether or not it's truly like the most prominent, but it's definitely in there. It's kind of this brownish color that's in the title, so it is throughout. This book will also fulfill a pop sugar prompt of a neurodivergent author. Hannah Bonham Young has come out many times being very open that she is indeed neurodivergent. So this book is about Prudence Welch, who has found solace in her introverted life in Baysville, a charming tourist town in northern Ontario. Despite once dreaming about a life beyond its borders, she now finds contentment in her routines, working at her father's gas station, writing poetry, and caring for her mother, who was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. But as her mother's condition worsens and her father's concerns about her own future intensifies, Prue feels her world slipping out of control. Enter Milo Kablukov, an enigmatic wanderer whose beat-up van covered with ill-advised bumper stickers rolls into town just when Prue needs a change. It's all too easy to let go with him, and their unlikely friendship leads to a wild and sexy agreement between them. Milo, a man of many adventures and countless stories, is not one to settle down. However, his brother's urgent need for help has brought him to Baysville, and now his chemistry with the intriguing Prue has given him more reason to stay. But as their temporary arrangement blossoms into something deeper, Prue and Milo discover that getting out of their comfort zones is one thing, taking that leap together is something else entirely. I loved Out on a Limb. I'm really excited for this one. Then my other local book club, I am reading The Guncle by Stephen Rowley. I picked this up at the local bookstore that hosts the book club. Patrick, or Gay Uncle Patrick Gupp for short, has always loved his niece Maisie and his nephew Grant. That is, he loves spending time with them when they come out to Palm Springs for week-long visits, or when he heads home to the holidays in Connecticut. So when tragedy strikes and Patrick finds himself taking on the role of primary guardian, he is honestly overwhelmed. Patrick has no idea what to expect, having spent years barely holding on after the loss of his great love, a somewhat stalled acting career, and a lifestyle not so suited for a 6 and a 9-year-old. But when his waggish set of gunkle rules no longer appease Maisie and Grant's parental void, Patrick's eyes are opened to a new set of responsibility, and the realization that sometimes even being larger than life means you're unfailingly human. I have heard so many good things about this book over the years. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard a bad thing about this book, so I'm super excited to finally have the opportunity to read it myself. Then, with 3 of my virtual book clubs, Swoony Readers, Booked with Babes, and the Book Baddies, they all picked Lila Sage's new book, Soul Searching. This was one of the other books that my husband gifted me. Collins Cartwright does not want to go home. Sweetwater Peak, Wyoming was supposed to be in her rearview mirror, but when she finds out that a developer is trying to buy her parents' antique shop out from under them, she doesn't have a choice. At least that's what she tells her family. They don't need to know that she lost her job and is out of money, or that the ghosts, who have always been her companion, have recently stayed silent. But just because she's returned home doesn't mean that she has to stay with her parents or crash on her twin sister's couch. Lucky for her, the new-to-town upholsterer has a room to rent above his store. Unluckily for her, it is teeming with ghosts who are also freezing her out. And Collins hates being ignored. Brady Cooper is absolutely and totally fine. Seriously, there is no secret reason why he decided to uproot his life and suddenly move to Sweetwater Peak. He just needed a change of pace. At least that's what he tells himself and everyone else. When he agrees to let the elusive Collins Cartwright stay in his spare room, he doesn't know that she's absolutely bonkers, constantly talking to herself and having conversations with no one. And he doesn't know she looks like that. But as they begin to get closer, the lines between them start to blur, leaving both of them and the ghosts that have been pushing them together wondering whether their temporary arrangement could be something more permanent. This is actually my first Lila Sage. I'm a little bit bummed that initial reviews seem a little bit mixed, but of course we'll just have to see how I feel. I am excited that it's one book for 3 book clubs though. That's definitely what I need. In October, the Literally Dead book club, hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala, is reading The Treasure Hunters Club by Tom Ryan. I will grab this one either from my library or from Libby. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of a different genre, in this case a mystery, set in autumn. For nearly a century, people have ventured to the idyllic seaside town of Maple Bay in search of a legendary lost pirate treasure. But locals know there's more than just gold buried in the sand. As the paths of 3 strangers converge in Maple Bay, the truth is about to be blown wide open, but not before the bodies start to pile up. Peter Barnett is rapidly approaching 40 with little to show for it when a mysterious letter invites him to Maple Bay and the mansion that his estranged family has called home for generations. 17-year-old Dandy Feltson is isolated and adrift following the death of her beloved grandfather until his final request and a tantalizing clue sets her on a mission to solve the mystery he spent his entire life chasing. Cass Jones has given up on her dream to becoming a successful author when an unexpected opportunity lands her in a house-sitting gig in remote Maple Bay, where she stumbles on the perfect subject matter for her breakout book and the handsome sailor who might just be the person to help her research it. Peter, Dandy, and Cass have never met, but they're on a collision course with each other and the mystery that has defined Maple Bay for 2 centuries. And none of them are prepared for the shocking truth that may or may not be still buried there. Last book club read for October is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This one I am reading with the Always Fully Booked book club. This one is available on Kindle Unlimited. Things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright for a long time. When Adam and Amelia win a getaway to Scotland, it might be just what their marriage needs. Self-confessed workaholic and screenwriter Adam has lived with face blindness his whole life. He can't recognize friends or family, or even his own wife. Every anniversary, the couple exchange traditional anniversary gifts: paper, cotton, pottery, tin, and each year Adam's wife writes him a letter that she never lets him read, until now. They both know that the weekend will make or break their marriage, but they didn't randomly win this trip. One of them is lying, and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. I'm joining in on several read-alongs in the month of October. The first one is a read-along for Sarah Adams' When in Rome series. I received all 3 books that are currently out from Tandem Collective and the publisher. We actually read When in Rome at the very end of last month. I am going to talk about it briefly. And then just because I'm filming this a little bit late, I just finished Practice Makes Perfect at the beginning of October. And now the main read-along is Beg, Borrow, or Steal. This is all in preparation for her new book, In Your Dreams, which comes out on December 30th. As I said, really briefly, since I already read it, loved it, but I just wanted the TBR to feel complete. I am a completionist for sure. When in Rome is about pop star Ray Rose, real name is Amelia, who is feeling a lot of burnout. So she turns to her comfort film, Roman Holiday, starring Audrey Hepburn, to inspire her to be adventurous and head to Rome. Only she can't really fly to Rome, Italy right now, so she decides to travel to the next closest Rome on the map, which happens to be Rome, Kentucky. Her car breaks down as soon as she arrives in town, but luckily it breaks down in front of someone's house, Noah's house. Noah turns out to be the local pie shop owner. A little grumpy at first, but Amelia slowly thaws his demeanor. Noah even decides to let her stay in his guest room. As they get to know each other, they both help each other heal from their recent pasts. And even though falling for each other doesn't seem like the best idea on paper, she's a pop star, he feels like he needs to stay in his small town, it also feels inevitable. I really loved this one. My full review is up on Instagram, and when I finally get back to doing the wrap-ups, I'll be sure to give a full review here as well. Then with Practice Makes Perfect, we are now following one of Noah's sisters. This one is about Annie, still in Rome, Kentucky. Annie is on a quest to find her perfect match. Someone who complements her simple, quiet life running the local flower shop here in Rome. But finding her dream man may be harder than Annie imagined. Everyone knows everyone in her hometown, and the dating pool is getting smaller by the day. After she overhears her latest date say that she is so unbelievably boring, Annie starts to think the problem might be her. Is it too late to become fun and flirtatious like the leading ladies in her favorite romance movies? Maybe she only needs a little practice. And Annie has the perfect person in mind to be her tutor, Will Griffin. Will, the sexy, tattooed, and absolutely gorgeous bodyguard, is temporarily back in Rome, providing security for Amelia Rose as excitement builds for her marriage to Noah. Little bit of a spoiler, but not really. These are contemporary romances, happily ever afters. He has one personal objective while on the job: stay away from Annie and any other possible attachments to the sleepy town. But no sooner than he gets settled, Will finds himself tasked with helping Annie find the love of her life by becoming the next leading lady of Rome, Kentucky. Will wants no part in changing the sweet and lovely Annie. He knows for a fact that no stuffy, straight-laced guy is going to make her happy, but he doesn't have the heart to say no. Amid steamy practice dates and strictly educational tutoring sessions, Annie discovers there are more layers to Will than his usual stoic attitude. As the lines of their friendship become dangerously blurred, Annie reconsiders her dream guy. Maybe her love life doesn't need to be perfect. Maybe it just needs to be real. I loved this one as well. I don't have a review up yet, but it will be coming soon. Then, as I mentioned, for the big read-along, we are reading Beg, Borrow, or Steal, which is the third book. This is following yet a different Walker sister. This one is following Emily. Emily Walker hates having her carefully crafted world disrupted by anyone. Most of all, her legendary nemesis, Jack Bennett. He's the opposite of the wonderful heroes she dreams up in her double life as a romance writer, which was why Emily was perfectly happy when Jack left Rome mid-school year with his fiance. The last thing Emily expected was Jack's return at the start of the summer after calling off the wedding and ending his relationship. But he's here to stay as her colleague and her neighbor. Jack is glad to be back, eager to renovate his house and work on the next mystery novel under his best-selling pen name. But when he now realizes that he's neighbors with the one woman who can push his buttons, he's discovered something he's even more excited about: thwarting Emily and her petty plans to sabotage his return. With their chemistry-fueled animosity at an all-time high, Emily accidentally sends an email to their school's principal that could reveal her literary side hustle. She needs to steal back her manuscript, and Jack, she hates to admit, is just the man to help her. Surprisingly, he agrees. Will their unlikely alliance put an end to their rivalry, or could it lead to a steamy plot twist they never saw coming? I'm a few chapters into this one, also really enjoying, so definitely getting getting excited for the new book, and I assume the last one with the last sister, release in December too. I am starting to fall behind on my Zodiac Academy read-along, but I do plan to continue. So this month would be book number 3, The Reckoning by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is available on Kindle Unlimited. Just a tiny short synopsis to avoid spoilers. The week of the reckoning has begun, and senior students have been tasked with making the freshmen lives pure hell as they prepare to take their fateful assessment. With the lunar eclipse on the horizon, Tori and Darcy have more to worry about than just passing their exams. A dark plot is unfolding and the shadows are drawing closer. The last read-along that I'm doing is also actually with Tandem Collective. This one, they gave me a e-copy of the book The Silversmith by L.J. Claren. Power is awakening, love is a liability, and the fate of the world rests in the hands of a grieving girl who never asked to be chosen. Still reeling from the deaths of her father and brother, Ari Gold survives only by sheer will in the icy wilds of the north. But when friends arrive with stories of long-lost magic and a power buried in her newly discovered royal blood, Ari is thrust into a fate far larger than her sorrow. The realm of Naridia is under threat. An ancient shadow wielder is determined to claim Ari's power and plunge the world into corrupted darkness. To stop him, Ari must marry the commander she's been promised to, a man whose army could help them win the war, and train to fight alongside him. But her fiercest challenge may not be on the battlefield. Assigned to shape her into a warrior is a man cloaked in violence and secrets. Cold, commanding, and maddeningly unreadable, he isn't her betrothed, but he may be her undoing. As sparks fly and loyalties are tested, Ari must decide whether to follow the path that's been laid out for her, or risk everything for a love as wild and dangerous as the power awakening inside her. Almost to all of my advanced reader copies for October, but first, there is one book that is the first book in the series when I received the second book as an advanced reader copy. So I received He Knows When You're Awake by Alta Hensley. The first book is He Sees You When You're Sleeping. He sees you when you're sleeping. You know where this is going. So I'll get to He Knows When You're Awake in a second. He Sees You When You're Sleeping is available on Kindle Unlimited. This will fulfill the Books and Bulldogs October prompt for a spooky book. Popular jewelry influencer Chloe Hallman is steeling herself to spend another holiday on her own. Instead, she finds herself drawn to 2 different guys. A smoldering hot fan of her secret seductive online persona, and a sexy fireman named Jack who looks out for her in their New York City neighborhood. Jack was the first responder to the accident that stole a beautiful young woman's family 2 Christmases ago, and he's been quietly guarding her ever since. When Jack uncovers Chloe's secret account, his obsession only grows. Both he and Chloe are drawn to the darkness that mirrors their own. So then I have the e-arc of He Knows When You're Awake. This will fulfill a Pop Sugar prompt of a luxury resort. Jewelry designer Sloane dreams of launching her own line, but she needs a Christmas miracle to pull it off. With traditional banks turning her down left and right, she can't resist when a mysterious stranger offers her a lifeline. Reclusive billionaire Cole Asher offers to fly Sloane out to an ultra-luxurious Swiss resort for a meeting. Reluctantly, she agrees, only to realize that she's actually met him once before in a New York bar. Cole offers to back her company, but there's a cost. To secure his investment, Sloane must move into his Manhattan penthouse, where she'll complete her first round of designs for him to review before Christmas. Sloane throws herself into her work, yet soon the attraction between her and Cole becomes undeniable. As the city sparkles with Christmas splendor from her new penthouse view, Sloane wonders if she has stepped into a fairy tale, until Cole's powerful enemies close in. They will stop at nothing to destroy him, including going after the woman he loves. So then the rest of my e-arcs, I have a few, of course. First one is The Bookshop Below by Georgia Summers, which comes out on November 20th. This will fulfill a 50 2022 book club prompt of a direction in the title. If you want a story that will change your life, Sharon's Bookshop is where you go. For those lucky enough to grace its doors, it's a glimpse into the world of deadly bargains and powerful magical books. For Cassandra Fairfax, it's a reminder of everything she lost when Sharon kicked her out and all but shuttered the shop. Since then, she's used her skills in less ethical ways, trading stolen books and magical readings to wealthy playboys looking for power that money can't buy. Then Sharon dies, and if Cassandra knows anything, it's that the bookshop must always have an owner. To restore the shop, she'll need the help of Lowell Sharp, a rival bookseller who is everything that Cassandra is not, and knows it too. But as she is plunged into the world of unscrupulous collectors, deadly ink magic, and shady societies, a dark force threatens to unravel the bookshops entirely. The next e-arc on my Kindle is Fallen City by Adrienne Young. Luca Mattias has one purpose: to carry on the family name, maintaining its presence in the forum once his powerful and cruel uncle dies. But his noviceship with the city's philosopher places him in the middle of a catastrophe that will alter the destiny of his people. Maris Casperia was raised amidst the strategic maneuvers of the Citadel's inner workings, and she knows what the future holds: a lifetime of service to a corrupt city. But her years of serving as a novice to the last priestess, who possesses the magic of the old war, has made her envision a different kind of future for the city. When she meets Luca, a fated chain of events is set into motion that will divinely entangle their lives. As a secret comes to light and throws the city into chaos, Luca and Maris hatch a plot to create a calculated alliance that could tip the scales of power. But when an execution forces Luca to become the symbol of a rebellion, he and Maris are thrown into the opposite sides of a holy war. As their fates diverge, they learn they are at the center of a story that the gods are writing. And even if they can find a way back to each other, there may be nothing left. Then I have Not You Again by Erin LaRosa, also as an e-arc on my Kindle. I read The Backtrack last year and I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I really wanted to give her another shot because I really like magical realism and romance. And in her previous book, it was set in like early 2000s, so there was like really great 80s vibes. So again, I really like the ideas. I didn't fully connect with it last time, but I'm hoping, again, maybe it was just a fluke and this next one will be fantastic. So in this one, in Julian, California, every day is April 23rd. And in a time loop, there are no rules. Eating endless slices of fresh apple pie? Yes. Partner swapping? Why not? Being trapped inside the plot of a sci-fi film would almost be inspiring to LA screenwriter Carly Hart if she wasn't waking up to her dad's funeral every day. Carly wants out. Funeral director Adam Rhodes is equally frustrated. Every loop, Adam regenerates in the middle of a fight with his ex-wife. Her infidelity wrecked their perfect life together. And now Adam must relive her confession over and over again. There's only one solution to ending the misery: breaking the time loop. Easier said than done. And there's another hurdle to overcome. Carly and Adam can't stand each other. Though strangers at best, Carly and Adam know they must work together to solve this cosmic mystery. But where Carly offers magical theories, Adam relies on facts and figures. When Carly wants to involve the local conspiracy theorist, Adam would rather work alone. The sooner they find a solution, the sooner they'll never have to see each other again. Yet somehow the tension between the two is hotter than a solar flare and as rare as the daily total solar eclipse. Maybe Carly and Adam are destined to be in each other's orbit after all. Next is an e-arc of The Lost by Sarah Beth Durst. This, I think, is a republishing with an updated and expanded version of it. It was supposed to be a small escape, a few hours driving and then turning around and heading home. But once you arrive in Lost, it's really not a place that you can get out of. Not until you're found. Only the missing man can send you home. And he took one look at Lauren Chase and disappeared. So Lauren is now trapped in the town where all lost things go. Luggage, keys, dreams, lives, where nothing is permanent, where the locals go feral, and where the only people who don't want to kill her are a handsome wild man called the Finder and a knife-wielding 6-year-old girl. The only only road out of town is engulfed in an impassable dust storm, and escape is impossible until Lauren decides that nothing and no one is going to keep her here anymore. I was so excited to get the next e-arc, And Then There Was You by Sophie Cousins. Love a Sophie Cousins romance. Stuck in a production assistant job and living at home with her parents after a painful breakup, 31-year-old Chloe Fairway isn't where she wants to be in life. The last thing she needs is to face the people who once voted her most likely to succeed at her upcoming 10-year college reunion. And she definitely doesn't want to see her former best friend, Sean Adler, who is now a hotshot film director living the life Chloe dreamed of. Desperate to make a splash and to make face with the man who might be the one who got away, she turns to a mysterious dating service. Enter Rob, her handsome, well-read, and charming match. The perfect +1 to take to her reunion. The more she gets to know him, the more perfect he appears to be. Could it be that this dating service knows her better than she knows herself? And can she overlook the one big catch? As Chloe reconnects with old friends, she begins to question everything she thought she wanted. Maybe, just maybe, revisiting the past is exactly what she needs to move forward. Really excited about the next one too, about my favorite Greek mythology character. Medusa by Iona Gray is also an e-arc on my Kindle. This one will fulfill the I in the Books Are Life challenge, getting to the end there. Medi has spent her whole life as the footnote in someone else's story. Out of place next to her beautiful immortal sisters and her parents, both gods, albeit minor ones. She dreams of leaving her family's island for a life of adventure. So when she catches the eye of the goddess Athena, who invites her to train as an esteemed priestess in her temple, Medi leaps at the chance to see the world beyond her home. In Athens, colorful market streets and the clandestine chambers of the temple, Medi flourishes in her life as Athena's favorite acolyte, getting her first taste of purpose and power. But when she is noticed by another Olympian, Poseidon, a drunken night between girl and god ends in violence, and the course of Medi's promising future is suddenly and irrevocably altered. Her locks transformed into snakes as punishment for a crime she did not commit. Medusa must embrace a new identity, not as a victim, but as a vigilante, and with it, the chance to write her own story as mortal, martyr, and myth. Medusa is very much a misunderstood character, in my opinion, so I always enjoy a modern retelling of her origin story. The next one sounds kind of fun too. It is Best Offer Wins by Marissa Cascino. 18 months and 11 lost bidding wars into house hunting in the Washington, D.C. suburbs. 37-year-old publicist Margot gets a tip about the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood, slated to come up for sale in 1 month. Desperate to escape the cramped apartment she shares with her husband Ian, and in turn get their marriage, plan to have a baby, and whole life back on track, Margot becomes obsessed with buying the house before it's publicly listed, and the masses descend with unbeatable all-cash offers in hand. A little stalking? Harmless. A bit of trespassing? Necessary. As Margot infiltrates the homeowners' lives, her tactics grow increasingly unhinged, but just when she thinks she's won them over, she hits a snag in her plan. Undeterred, she'll prove again and again that there's no boundary she won't cross to seize dream life she's been tracing. Then the last ebook is not really an arc, but I did still get it from NetGalley, and that's an e-copy of Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles. I really enjoyed one of her other romantic suspense books, and I've wanted to try more. I've heard great things about this one. I think it popped up on NetGalley because the new one's also coming out, so they're just building hype that way, but I snagged it as soon as I saw it. The scowl should have been my first clue to stay far away from Anson Hunt. The sexy smirk and the fact that he's my brother's best friend, reasons 2 and 3. Not to mention, he's the new contractor working on my house. He's everything I'm not. Grumpy, rude, and more than a little attached to his solitude. It doesn't matter how many times I try to kill him with kindness, the man simply won't crack until he sees me shatter. Because when my world comes crashing down around me, Anson is the one catching me when I fall. And and as so-called accidents start plaguing every part of my life, it's Anson who steps in to keep me safe. As he does, I can't help but feel a flicker of heat, and it only takes a single moment for that spark to ignite into flames, engulfing us both. But Anson's a man with secrets, and they have a price. When they're revealed, neither of us will make it out unscathed. Then I have two physical arcs. The first one is The Memory Gardener by Meg Donahue. Lucy is a gardener with an uncanny ability to grow flowers whose scents awaken lost memories. Not that she uses this particular talent. She learned her lesson long ago. But when that very gift calls her home after a decade, Lucy can't resist breathing new life into the neglected walled gardens of a local senior living residence, revitalizing an entire community and finding her own healing in the wake of loss. This one sounds so good, and I love a book that involves memories. And then my last advanced reader copy is Ship of Spells by H. Leighton Dixon. This will fulfill a 25 in 25 challenge prompt of chapter titles. When Ensign Blue Mage Honor Wren is rescued from the wreckage of her first naval post, she expects death or disgrace. Instead, she wakes aboard the Touchstone, a mythic vessel whispered of in dockside ballads and royal war rooms alike, with a crew of misfits, a mysterious elven captain, and a mission tied to the Dreadwall, the crumbling barrier that has kept the Overland and the Nethersea from open war for 100 years. But the tragedy that sank her last ship didn't just take lives, it left something behind. Now Wren carries a secret everyone wants, a magic that's chimeric, arcane, and slowly killing her. But the captain's mission may be her only chance to survive, even if he still doesn't trust her. Caught between privateers, princes, and spies, Wren knows each choice could sink her future or set the sea on fire. Then I have a few gifted copies sent to me by publishers that I would love to read sooner rather than later, so I put them on my monthly TBR. First up is Widow's Point by Richard Shizmar and W.H. Shizmar. Longtime residents of Harper's Cove believe that something is wrong with the Widow's Point lighthouse. Some say it's cursed, others claim it's haunted. During its construction in 1838, 3 workers were killed, including one who plunged to his death from the catwalk. The tragic accidents were never explained, and it was just the beginning of the terror. In the decades that followed, nearly 24 additional deaths occurred in or around the lighthouse, including cold-blooded murder, suicide, unexplained accidents and disappearances, the slaughter of an entire family, and the inexplicable death of a Hollywood starlet who was filming a movie on the grounds. The lighthouse was finally shuttered tight in 1988, and a security fence was erected around the property. No one has been inside since, until now. Told across 2 harrowing incidents from 2017 and 2025, those who enter the Widow's Point lighthouse searching for supernatural proof and the next big thing find themselves cut off from the outside world. And although no one has recently stepped foot inside the structure, they are not alone. From what I've read about this one, it's told kind of like Blair Witch Project-esque. And as a 90s child, I am super excited to read it. So finally, some more books with some actual October vibes. The next one is Witch You Would by Leah Amador. This one I also received from the publisher. In a Miami where enchantment is just another college major, the magic of television could change 2 lives. Penelope Delmar, a broke salesgirl, has been chosen to compete on Cast Judgment, a spellcasting reality TV show. The winner gets a big cash prize. And for extra hype, this season is the Spellebrity edition. Every contestant will be paired with a celebrity teammate. Unfortunately, her partner, Leandro Presto, is best known for his goofy viral spell videos, not his skills. Jill Contreras, alias Leandro Presto, has been crushing on his pen pal Penelope for months. Now they're working together to win a contest that could save his grandfather's charity, except he has to stay in character the whole time. so his dream girl thinks he's a total loser. Can they beat snobby rivals, fix spells gone wrong, and survive increasingly dangerous sabotage, attempts to win the grand prize, and each other's hearts? Or will Jill's secret make both their magic and romance fizzle out? I love a reality TV show book, so excited for this one also. Then I received a copy of Their Monstrous Hearts by Yajit Turan. This will fulfill the buzzword title prompt of a violent word in the title. I looked it up. Monstrous is considered violent. And also a 52 book club prompt of a diary entry in the book. A mysterious stranger shows up at Ricardo's apartment with some news. His grandmother Perion has died, and Ricardo has inherited her villa in Milan, along with her famed butterfly collection. The struggling writer is out of options. He's hoping the change of scenery in Milan will inspire him, and maybe there will be some money to keep him afloat. But Perion's house isn't as opulent as he remembers. The butterflies pinned in their glass cases seem more ominous than artful. Perion's group of old friends is constantly lurking, and there's something wrong in the greenhouse. As Ricardo explores the decrepit estate, he stumbles upon Perion's diary, which might hold the key to her mysterious death, or at least give him the inspiration he needs to finish his manuscript. But he might not survive long enough to write it. Then I received 6 Days in Bombay by Alka Joshi. When renowned painter Mira Novak arrives at Wadia Hospital in Bombay, after a miscarriage, she is expected to make a quick recovery. And her nurse Sona is excited to learn more about the vivacious artist who shares her half-Indian identity. Sona, yearning for a larger life, finds herself carried away by Mira's stories of her travels and exploits and is shocked by accounts of the many lovers the painter has left scattered through Europe. When Mira dies quite suddenly and mysteriously, Sona falls under suspicion, and her quiet life is upended. The key to proving Sona's innocence may lie in a cryptic note and 4 paintings Mira left in her care, sending the young woman on a mission to visit the painter's former friends and lovers across a tumultuous Europe teetering toward war. On the precipice of discovering her own identity, Sona learns that the painter's charming facade hid a far more complicated, troubled soul. My last gifted copy is Devil is Fine by John Bircher. Reeling from the sudden death of his teenage son, our narrator receives a letter from an attorney. He has just inherited a plot of land from his estranged grandfather. He travels to a beach town several hours south from his home with the intention of selling the land immediately. But upon inspection, what lies beneath the dirt is much more than he can process in the throes of grief. As a biracial black man struggling with the many facets of his identity, he's now the owner of a former plantation, passed down by the men on his white mother's side of the family. This one sounds really good, and I'm going to be reading 3/5 by this author later this year, which kind of involves similar topics, so really excited to read these. Now onto my personal challenges. The longest book on my shelf currently is Wellness by Nathan Hill. At 597 pages, I picked this one up at a little free library, but it's been on my TBR for a little bit now. When Jack and Elizabeth meet as college students in the 90s, the two quickly join forces and hold on tight, each eager to claim a spot in Chicago's underground art scene with an appreciative kindred spirit. Fast forward 20 years, and now they're grappling with the routines of married life, the challenges of parenting, and the indignities of aging, not to mention cults of positive thinking, polyamorous would-be suitors, Facebook trolls, NIMBY protests, and something called Love Potion Number 9. For the first time, Jack and Elizabeth struggle to recognize each other, and the no longer youthful dreamers are forced to face their demons, from unfilled career ambitions to painful childhood memories of their own dysfunctional families. In the process, they have to undertake separate personal excavations or risk losing the best thing in their lives, each other. Then the highest rated book on my overall TBR is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This is surprisingly readily available on Libby, maybe because it came out in April. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of being set in the 1940s. Throughout her life, Sybil Van Antwerp has used letters to make sense of the world and her place in it. Most mornings about 10:30, Sybil sits down to write letters to her brother, to her best friend, to the president of the university who will not allow her to audit a class she desperately wants to take, to Joan Didion and Larry McMurtry to tell them what she thinks of their latest books, and to one person she writes often yet never sends the letter. Sybil expects her world to go on as it always has. A mother, grandmother, wife, divorcee, distinguished lawyer. She has lived a full life. But when letters from someone in her past force her to examine one of the most painful periods of her life, she realizes the letter she's been writing over the years needs to be read, and she cannot move forward until she finds it in her heart to offer forgiveness. For my Goodreads Best Books Ever challenge, the next book is Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Definitely read this in high school, but not since. This is available everywhere: Kindle Unlimited, Hoopla, Libby, the library, so I'll grab it from one of those places. I think everyone knows the synopsis, but very briefly, when the feud between the Montagues and the Capulets spill into the streets of Verona, a great love must be kept secret. That of Romeo, son of Montague, and Juliet, daughter of the sworn enemy Capulet. But only a tragic twist of fate can promise peace. And then for my 12 books in 12 months recommended by 12 friends challenge, for October I have chosen Defy the Night, which was recommended to me by my friend Angel. I will link her Instagram account down below. This is Defy the Night by Bridget Kammerer and is available readily on Libby or my library. The Kingdom of Kandala is on the brink of disaster. Rifts between sectors have only worsened since a sickness began ravaging the land. And within the royal palace, the king holds a tenuous peace with a ruthless hand. King Harriston was thrust into power after his parents' shocking assassination, leaving the younger Prince Coric to take on the brutal role of the king's justice. The brothers have learned to react mercilessly to any sign of rebellion. It's the only way to maintain order when the sickness can strike anywhere. And the only known cure, an elixir made from delicate moonflower petals, is severely limited. Out in the wilds, apothecary apprentice Tessa Cade is tired of seeing her neighbors die. Their suffering ignored by the unyielding royals. Every night, she and her best friend Wes risk their lives to steal moonflower petals and distribute the elixir to those who need it most, but it's still not enough. As rumor spreads that the cure no longer works and sparks of rebellion begin to flare, a particularly cruel act from the king's justice makes Tessa desperate enough to try the impossible, sneaking into the palace. But what she finds upon her arrival makes her wonder if it's even possible to fix Kandala without destroying it first. Then my last few are just to complete challenge prompts. As I said at the beginning of the video, only a few more months of this chaos. Definitely starting to brainstorm what it's going to look like next year, limiting my book clubs and challenges. I'd love to leave more room for YouTube themed videos, monthly challenges, friend recommendations, and just being able to complete my TBR in general. But as I said, for now, we're just gonna keep going, finish the year. First one I had to add was The Lizard Cage by Karen Connolly. This will fulfill a diverse reading challenge prompt of a country with ongoing genocide. This one isn't widely available, so I might just buy it for my Kindle. It wasn't terribly expensive. Teza once electrified the people of Burma with his protest songs against the dictatorship. Arrested by the Burmese secret police in the days of mass protest, he is 7 years into a 20-year sentence in solitary confinement. Cut off from his family and contact with other prisoners, he applies his acute intelligence, Buddhist patience, and humor to find meaning in the interminable days, and searches for news in every being and object that is grudgingly allowed into his cell. Despite his isolation, Teza has a profound influence on the people around him. His very existence challenges the brutal authority of the jailers, and his steadfast spirit inspires radical change. Even when Teza's criminal server tries to compromise the singer for his own gain, Teza befriends him and risks falling into the trap of forbidden conversation, food, and the most dangerous contraband of all, paper and pen. Yet it is through Taze's relationship with little brother, a 12-year-old orphan who's grown up inside the walls, that we ultimately come to understand the importance of hope and human connection in the midst of injustice and violence. Taze and the boy are prisoners of different orders. Only one of them dreams of escape, and only one of them will achieve it. Their extraordinary friendship frees both of them in utterly surprising ways. Then I have A Broken People's Playlist by Kamika Garrix. This will fulfill a diverse reading challenge prompt of interconnected short stories by a Global South writer and a Pop Sugar challenge prompt of similarly short story collection. This one is available at my library. A Broken People's Playlist is a collection of short stories with underlying themes so beautifully woven that each story flows into the other seamlessly. From its poignant beginning in Lost Stars, a story about love and its fleeting, transient nature, to the gritty, raw musical prose encapsulated in the City, a tale of survival set in the alleyways of the waterside. A Broken People's Playlist is a mosaic of stories about living, loving, and hurting through very familiar sounds, in very familiar ways, and finding healing in the most unlikely places. And then the last book in this very long TBR is a children's book, The Tale of Despero by Kate Camillo. This will fulfill the Mass Center for the Book prompt of a book published by a Massachusetts press, and the buzzword cover prompt of a weapon on the cover, which I think actually this is a really cute interpretation of that. Both of these challenges were much harder to fulfill than I thought they would be. I am grabbing this one from my library. Welcome to the story of Despero Tilling, a mouse who is in love with music, stories, and a princess named P. It is also the story of a rat called Roscuro who lives in the darkness and covets a world filled with light. And it is the story of Migri Sao, a slow-witted serving girl who harbors a simple, impossible wish. These three characters are about to embark on a journey that will lead them down into a horrible dungeon, up into a glittering castle, and ultimately into each other's lives. I always love the occasional children's or middle grade book in my official TBR because then I can read and talk about it with my kids. They love getting involved with my reading, my booktube, my bookstagram, especially if it's for a challenge or something. They get really invested in it and it makes my heart so happy, so I love when I am able to include them. That's it. That's my October TBR Delulu. Let me know in the comments what you're reading this month, especially if we have any of the same. And if you're not feeling super chatty but you just want to let me know that you were here, go ahead and leave me the jack-o'-lantern emoji for October, and I will see you on my next video. Bye!